Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It means so much. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a little spring and summer makeover to the front of our house. Now, as most of you know that have been following me for a while, I like to keep my home clean, minimal, simple. I like for my decorations to also be functional, and so I like for them to serve a purpose, and I don't like a lot of things, a lot of knickknacks, especially within the yard. I try to keep my yard as simple and minimal as possible. So this is going to be a pretty simple, a pretty clean, minimal makeover, and I hope it inspires you to tackle your front entryway if you still have your Christmas wreath up on your door like I did. Hopefully this will motivate you. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. The first thing that I decided to do was take my lemongrass plant that was currently in one of my big planters and plant it in the ground. Now, I had my best friend come over and help me because she is like the plant guru. She knows so much about gardening. She's really humble about it and she acts like she doesn't, but she knows so much and she was so helpful. And so one of the things that she told me that I can do was that I could plant my lemongrass into the ground and that it'll just grow really well there. So basically what we did first was we dug a hole. Now, I used a shovel initially, and then my father-in-law brought out a different kind of shovel that made it much easier to dig the hole with. Alright, so here is the shovel that we ended up using, which made it a lot easier to dig a hole. And then once we had the hole to the proper size that we needed it to be, we went ahead and we put the lemongrass plant into the ground here, which I'm really excited about. And I went ahead and I just took the soil from the pot that the plant was in and we put that in the ground with the new plant. That way it has soil that it's used to. So I went ahead and I just kind of put the soil from the pot around the plant once we put it in the ground, and then I just watered it really well. Now, here's just a little tip for you. One thing that I would recommend to do is to invest in a couple, one or two really beautiful large pots for the front of your house, kind of like a statement piece. And that way you have something that's beautiful, it's timeless, but you're still adding some decor to the front of your house. I feel like a lot of times what people do is they don't want to spend a lot of money, and so instead they'll buy small things, and then over time they just have a bunch of little small things on their front porch, but it looks really cluttered, and unless that's kind of the look you're going for, it doesn't look very pretty. And so one thing that I would say is, just look at it like that. If you were to add up the money you spent on all your little knickknacks on your front porch over time, you could have used that money and gotten one really beautiful piece that was timeless and still looks nice. I think oftentimes we think that if we have more, it'll make the space look better, but sometimes less is actually more, and quality speaks louder than quantity. So that's just a little tip. And now the next thing that we did was we went ahead and we put some soil into this wheelbarrow that my husband dug up from the ground. Now, that machine he actually rented for the day because we're doing a backyard makeover. That's one of the other things that we've been saving up for since before quarantine, and we thought this would be a great opportunity since we're doing a staycation to kind of create a backyard oasis, so we're super excited about that. So he was able to dig up some really good rich soil for me, and then I went ahead and I added this Miracle-Gro organic choice potting mix to that mixture. I did about half and half, and then I added some sand into the mixture. And the only reason I'm telling you this is if you do get a couple of really big pots for your outdoor living and you're wanting to add flowers to it, but you're not really sure about what to do with the soil, hopefully this will give you some ideas as far as like what's good for the soil. My husband worked in a nursery for his first job, a plant nursery, for several years, and so he really learned a lot about plants through that. And then my best friend who came over and helped me this day, she just knows so much about plants, and so it was really great having their green thumb to help me do this, and hopefully I'll be able to help you in this as well. So basically, once you have your pots exactly where you want them, you can go ahead and fill them up with soil. Now I'm not going to fill it all the way up with soil because I want to see how the plants are going to sit in the pot, and then once they're sat in the pot, then I can fill in the rest of the pot with soil. So as you can see, I didn't fill it all the way to the top. And the first plant that I got is actually called angel wings, and this is such a soft plant, and the great thing about this plant is it comes back every year. So that's something that you want to consider when you're investing in good plants. Like this plant was $15 just for this one plant, which I think is a lot of money for a plant, but it'll come back every year and it will grow. So I'll be able to separate it and put it, on the ground somewhere in my yard, and it can create really pretty ground cover, hopefully over time. And then these little green vine plants, I like them because they're going to drape over the pot, and these come back every year as well. So these two different types of plants here, I don't have to rebuy again. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it in with some flowers. Now these flowers bloom throughout the spring and the summer, and that's something that you want to look for when you're picking out flowers for your pots. Make sure that they're not just for the spring, but that they're going to bloom all summer long for you as well, especially since you're investing in these and they're not going to come back every year. You're going to want them to last as long as possible. So I am just so excited about this. Now, when you go to make your container garden, you can really do whatever you want. Basically, what I did, or what looked good to me when I was picking these out at the store with my friend, is I wanted something large in the middle, and that would be the centerpiece, and that's what the angel wings are. And then I wanted a plant that would drape over the sides, a green plant, something that would drape pretty long. And this specific plant actually grows really well. I will link all the names to these in the description box below for you as well. And then these red and white flowers are so beautiful. I just thought they created a really nice pop against the color of the pot. But these flowers are great because they actually are going to droop over the side of the pot as well. Now, I would recommend for you to go to Pike's Nursery if you're wanting some help and you're wanting to pick out some good quality plants, because they're just so friendly there, and their staff that's on hand, they have people walking around they'll come up to you and they'll ask if you need help with anything, and they know everything about the plants. And Home Depot and Lowe's is great for that as well, and we did go to Lowe's first, but I just felt like, wow, going to Pike's was just such a treat and such an awesome experience. So that's just a little tip for you. Now that I've kind of decided where I want to place everything, basically what my friend was telling me was you want to kind of break up the roots on the bottom of the plants once you take them out of their plastic container, and then you just set them where you want them to go in the pot. And then once they're all set in the pot, you want to fill your pot up all the way to the top with soil, and you want to pack it down really well, and then you want to give it a good watering. So that's basically what I did for these pots. So I'll just let you guys watch and enjoy, and then we'll move on to the second part of this little makeover, which is going to be my front door wreath. I didn't get that done until the next day, but that's another thing on my channel that I love to encourage everyone to do, is don't feel like you have to tackle a space all in one day. Take your time, enjoy the process. For me personally, I would rather enjoy life, enjoy people, and take my time to do things within the home, because I feel like the home comes second to enjoying life and enjoying people. And so just take your time, enjoy the process. You don't need to feel like you have to get it all done in one day. Alright you guys, so it is the next day, and the last thing that I'm going to do for this little makeover is take my Christmas wreath down. I was putting it off as long as possible because I love Christmas so much, but it's time to go bye-bye because I am super excited for the spring and summer. And now I'm going to go ahead and make my own spring wreath with things that I already had. I spent $0 on this, so this is just a twig wreath that I already had from an existing wreath that I was no longer using. And so I went ahead and I set this down on the counter, and then I went ahead and I pulled down a couple of boxes of greenery and floral stems that I keep in 2 boxes in my garage, and I'm just not going to use these for decor throughout my home anymore because one of my goals in this new year is to create a minimalist home. And I'm just working my way through each room, one room at a time, 1 month at a time, and kind of taking down the things that are only decorative but don't really serve a purpose. And one of those things was all of my greenery, and it's faux greenery, so it's not like it helps the air at all like a real plant would. So instead of just giving these away, I thought this would be a great opportunity to make a beautiful spring and summer wreath, something that I can have throughout the season and I can reuse every year. So to go with the rest of my home, I am going to try to keep this as minimal and beautiful and timeless as possible. But I also like for things to look really big, and you know, like I said, sometimes quality is better than quantity, and so I like for my items to look very quality. Like I spent a lot of money even though I didn't spend any money on this because I just used everything that I already had. So basically all I'm doing is I'm just taking this greenery, which you can purchase this in long garland form from Hobby Lobby. That's where I purchased these. They were just long garlands of greenery, and I cut it in half, and I am just using some floral wire that I got from Hobby Lobby to attach this greenery to the wreath. Now, I think all you would need are probably 1 to 2 strings of garland of this greenery from Hobby Lobby if you're wanting to recreate this wreath yourself. And I just used the floral wire to attach the greenery to the twig wreath, and I only did a half circle of it. And then once I was done adding all of my greenery to my wreath, I went ahead and I added in some little flowers that I had. Now these are faux flowers, and I purchased these from Hobby Lobby, and I like this stem of flowers because you get a bunch of flowers on one stem, which works out great for a wreath if you're making your own wreath. And basically I just kind of wove it through the stick part of the wreath into the greenery, and I just placed them in different places on the wreath that I thought looked nice. And that is everything. So to make the front of your house beautiful, you don't have to do a lot. I hope that's what you get out of this video. I truly only have my two pots that you saw in this beautiful wreath. And I also purchased a new doormat. The doormat that we have, I just like to use for the fall and winter months. It's a rubberized mat, and it's great. It works great for those seasons, but then for the spring and summer, I like to bring out something that's a bit more thick and chunky that isn't gonna be damaged from any snow or cold weather. And that is it. So, you know, you really don't have to do a lot to make a space look beautiful. Do what you can and be proud of what you do. It's unique to you. Everyone has different styles, everyone likes different things, and I think it's wonderful that the Lord created us like that, because then we get to go into somebody else's home and enjoy the uniqueness of them, and we can be blessed by it and benefited by it. This would be a really boring and sad world if we were all the same. So be encouraged in your differences, and don't look at this and think, well, I don't like any of those things and I'm not like that. That's awesome. Like, you shouldn't like every single thing that I like, and you should be different and like different things, and I just want to encourage you in that. One thing before I go as women that I think we don't realize is in our own insecurities, when we look at other women and we compare ourselves, that is what divides us as women. But when we can look at one another and enjoy each other in our differences and not allow it to make us feel inadequate, that's what unites us as women. And so I just want to encourage you with that. You are wonderful and amazing in the uniqueness of how God created you to be. Don't try to be like anybody else. Nobody wants you to be like anybody else. Everybody just wants you to be you. So I hope that encourages you, and please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. And until next time, I love you guys so much. Bye.